So, I woke up in the middle of the night with a revelation. This is nothing new. When I often wake up in the middle of the night with these snippets of thoughts that feel incredibly profound. I don't know if everybody does that, but I think a lot of us do. There's something about these sacred nighttime hours where knowledge, wisdom, knowing comes in, and I don't refuse it. I feel it. And this is one of those moments. I felt this and it made sense to me. Then when I wake up in the morning and I'm back into my regular patterns and routines, the wisdom doesn't feel so fancy sacred. But I'm still going to try and pull it through here because it actually felt at the time really profound and like a key to something. I don't often have the presence of mind to write it down. This time I did. And this is exactly what I wrote at 2:56 a.m. That was April 29th, so a few days ago. The reason we know that time is not real or that time is an illusion is that we have to work so hard to be reminded of it. My phone is constantly telling me what day and time it is. And do you remember during COVID, we couldn't remember what day of the week it was a lot of times? It was really funny to us. Like, I'm saying commonly because it wasn't just like one conversation I had. Very often it would be like, is it Saturday? And then I wrote, this feels like a big revelation, but it's also the middle of the night. And I think we work so hard to stay where we are in time. And it might be that one of the secrets is really, truly understanding that time is not real. And let's see where we go from there. It is the morning of May 1st. It's May Day. And waking up this morning, I felt a kind of enthusiasm that I haven't felt in a while, like a great celebration. And this celebration didn't require preparation. I mean, maybe everything was preparation for this. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, sometimes I've had celebrations and they have required so much preparation, so much work, so much planning, so much hope that it would go well. This feels like a celebration in the best sense of the word or the meaning of celebration. Maybe it's practicing joy and feeling enthusiasm or feeling divinely inspired, feeling the breath of God with that word. So this celebration, enthusiasm, May Day. And this is Beltane or Bealtaine, the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. This is a full moon in Scorpio, and it's a full flower moon. And spring is one of my favorite seasons, and this is my birthday month. So all of those things go into that stir pot of enthusiasm for me. I'm very happy, welcoming, ready to receive this. So what is going on anyway? Right now feels like an important moment to say and talk and remember about this issue of time and the need to be able to be flexible with time, to consider ourselves time travelers with the flexibility to see things from many different perspectives and many different time slots in our own experience of our lifetimes. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Ann Headley, and this is my podcast, What is Going On Anyway?, where I take some time every couple of weeks to check in intuitively, imaginally, and creatively with the new or full moon and share my take with you. I use my imagination and intuition together to tell a story by surfing the present moment and sharing it with you. I believe this is a good way to brainstorm for our future experiences, and I hope this encourages you to look for your own waves of presence that fuel inspiration, intuition, and courage. Ultimately, I hope this becomes an internal revolution of self-worth, which I believe is necessary to usher us into the future collaboration of being here together. That self-worth part is the way that we sit into our knowing, that we sit into our imagination and give ourselves the space that we need to receive imaginal thoughts. I'm especially interested in my own and other people's experiences of spirituality. And the question, what are we here for? What is the meaning of life? This podcast is for intuitives and intuitively curious folks, for people who value personal spiritual experiences and ask questions about why we are here and the meaning of life, despite simultaneously knowing these are unresolvable queries. Welcome. I am so glad you're here with me. Where do you think all your best laid plans, and not just your best laid plans, but all your hopes, desires, and dreams that you are imagining as possibilities in some future time, where do you think they will play out? Where do you need to be to receive your own dreams? How do you prepare? That word, prepare, prepare, prepare. Think of that word like a chopping away of your ability to receive your gifts. I'm preparing for, I'm chopping away the platform on which I might receive my gifts by preparing and preparing and preparing. And I'm telling you that the feeling image that I'm getting around this moment is that there's wide open ground to receive the gifts of your being. I know that's pretty big and vague, but just imagine there's this wide open ground, and then you start preparing the ground and you start making the ground so specific that only one type of seed could grow there, for example. It's making that preparing, that idea, concept of preparing, that we have been sold. I do feel like we've been sold this concept, that it makes your window of opportunity so small, so minuscule, that it would take the best kind of miracle to get through. And of course, the best kind of miracles exist. So even then, you can grow, receive, and be in relationship to all of your dreams. I wish I had a better word than dreams, but the realization of your spirit embodied. That's what I'm talking about. In all the quirky, funny, silly, magnificent, elegant, incredible ways that you come through a body and you interact with other people here on earth. It's a fantastic, magnificent thing. And all of us get to participate in that as we watch the earth do this alongside us, showing us how we are a part of nature too. I'd like to read to you from this book, The Yolks on Us, Curiosity Practice and Following the Thread by Anne Jablonski, who is also a freedom yoga practitioner and teacher. I recommend the book. It's a quick, easy read and made me smile and laugh and feel even more connected to myself and to humanity. This is her writing. I used to hope there would come a time in my life when I'd finally know what I was doing, when I'd stop fumbling and second-guessing and drafting my way through each new stage like the world's oldest intern. I imagined that adulthood, if done correctly, would eventually hand me a certificate of competence. It hasn't so far. What it's handed me instead is a long series of beginnings, some chosen, some accidental, and one so consuming it still resists language on the page. All I can say is that it rearranged me down to the studs and then asked me to keep going anyway. It tested the far edges of my capacity to cope. There were long stretches when getting through meant one breath at a time, holding tight to a thread I trusted more out of hope than habit than certainty, and sometimes wondering if I was clutching air. There's a reason the natural world doesn't seem to reward anyone for looking competent. Rivers don't try to perfect their technique. Trees don't agonize about whether they should be blooming earlier in the season. They begin again, quite literally, every single year. They waste no energy pretending they're further along than they are. Nature's logic is start where you are, and if that fails, start again. Some of my most meaningful insights didn't arrive when I was striving for mastery, but when I was quietly unraveling, when something in me was forced to soften because the usual strategies stopped working. Those were the seasons that taught me the most enduring lesson of all. Beginnings are not the opposite of wisdom. They're its apprenticeship. If anything in this humble little book has a secret engine, this is it. We are never done with beginnings. We return to them like tides. We cycle through them the way forests shed and grow. Beginning again is not a failure of progress. It's the rhythm of being. I want to tie this back around to the idea of time travel that I'm really curious about right now, and curious about holding on to the feeling inside me when I understand that time is not real. So sometimes, as I'm scrolling along and getting really involved in animal rescue videos, or there's a mama cat who has kittens and she needs to be helped and she's scared. And I'm watching these videos and they end up, everybody's happy and safe in the end. And it's like this quick little feel-good thing that I just love to watch. Something that happens to me when I'm watching them is I talk to the animals the way I do telepathic communication when I'm doing animal communication, because I am so moved inside of me. And I say to that animal, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. And I have this experience where I know this. I believe this, I should say. I believe that that communication is helping that animal get through a traumatic moment in the past, even though I'm watching this in the future, and that there is this connective compassion loop that I am participating in. I just believe that. I don't think I've ever actually said that out loud. So I've been just quietly practicing this idea of what is it like to send compassion back in time? And then I wonder, can I send compassion forward in time to my own emerging self? And I do this without exactly knowing what I'm doing. And I'm suspicious that right now is a time when we need to be jumping around our own personal timelines to receive and give. And in that way, we're closing circuits or connecting ties or lines. We're grounding into different places in our life so that we can be so present and have this feeling of enthusiastic celebration for this moment. I don't know why that's important. It just seems really important not to sidestep this moment, to stand in the center of what feels like a personal celebration and receive it. This ties into what was going on with this new moon about experiencing a sense of I am that I am. I'm just what I am. Take it or leave it kind of feeling inside. This is me. And now this is the celebration of that, the receiving of that. And I suspect there's something about this that gives us feet, not just feet, but like the propulsion for our feet to activate in whatever way. I don't mean I hate to have this backwards reference to progress. I don't mean that at all, but I mean we need our feet to be active on the earth so that we can participate in this quite incredible life that we found ourselves located in. So it's not a time to prepare for anything. That seems to be a concept of preparing. Look at me. As I look around myself, I've got notebooks here and I've got lists over here and I've got calendars here. That's all my sense of preparation. But there's something about right now that's saying, start whatever it is, make an action. Maybe it's really easy to think about that as an artist and start a creation, begin something, rather than research or gather materials. This is like actually try to make a mark, or actually try to make a move, or actually share something that's already been done. There's something about this letting go of hoping for the future and experiencing the future in this moment now, layered together as if you're weaving or threading or quilting together your future, past, and present. And it does, coming back again, I have to say again that doesn't feel hard. That feels like receiving the celebration of this moment, receiving the celebration of this full moon. It looks like if the moon was squishy and you put a belt on it and then it squishes out the side, I don't know why. That's what this feels like. It feels like a tightening in of the center point so that we can feel the deluxe sensation of our future and past spilling back into the center. Not constrictive, but like hugging, squeezing. Okay. I'm just going to hope that you got all of that and that it all makes sense to you. Or at least it has you wondering, questioning, and pondering. So let's turn to the I Ching and see if we can get a little bit more insight. So, hey, I Ching, dear Oracle, what can you have us know about this full moon that helps us understand this moment now? The hexagram we get is 34, great vigor, also great power, and also inner victory. That sounds like the celebration that I'm feeling of this moment. It's not like a celebration where we necessarily are going to gather with other people, though I think that's a fun thing to do on this beautiful full moon. But there's something about standing inside of ourselves and having a celebration of how we have become what we are, and that we can feel as much as we can feel. It's like a celebration of capacity. How much can I experience of this life of mine? How much can I experience of my own individuality inside of a larger soul expressing itself with spirit through my body? This is a moment to appreciate and to understand that the experience of I am that I am brings us to this sense of inner victory, of standing at one with one's self. And I'm not suggesting that that is happening for all of us and all of creation. There's something about this moment as we seat ourselves historically, personally, maybe even professionally, where the possibility is to stand up for oneself to one's own self. And when we can do that, the actions that we then take beyond such things sometimes feel powerful. When I am seated in my own knowledge of my value to my own self, then I stand up for myself in other situations, not doing it from the outside, hoping to find it on the inside. But this is a real moment of acknowledging that which we know about ourselves, that we've come to know about ourselves, and having a little inner victory, right? We're always going to slide around and come back around and go through cycles. But perhaps you're feeling this too. This moment of, oh, I like this. Huh, there I am. Wow, I feel like myself. And the questions to ask here, the key questions, according to Hilary Barrett: how will you use your power? Where do you stand? And how will you use your power to stay centered and grounded and feeling good and recirculating that sense of enthusiasm? Where do you stand? Of course, you stand with yourself and reminding yourself, I stand with myself first, and then I know how to stand with others. With great vigor, you stand upright and robust, full of resilient energy. Love it. You are inspired and animated by strong purpose and ready to wield your strength like a hero. For this to yield results, you will need to act with steadiness and consistency, standing in your strength, but without mistaking it for omnipotence. I think this is important because I was talking about time traveling before. Time traveling is a feeling. It's a feelings game, I think. It's not about traveling into the future to understand something about the future, to bring it back in the past and to change things. It's about expanding the capacity for feeling and compassion, and expanding our capacity for feeling really gives us a kind of power, because we give away our power when we're afraid. And a lot of times our fear is not having the capacity to feel in the moment. And which I understand, like there's lots of reasons why we push feelings off, but the more we can expand our capacity to feel, the more powerful we become with our own selves, inside of our own selves. And curiously, it has changing lines 1, 2, and 3, and it moves us back to hexagram 16. I think we've been here before, but how beautiful is it that it's called enthusiasm? So right from the beginning, I was feeling this sense of enthusiasm. The questions we can ask around this: what do you imagine? What inspires you? How can you use your enthusiasm constructively? When we're inside of enthusiasm, we know we've got regenerative energies moving through us. The enthusiasm fuels us in a way. And so that enthusiasm can be used to direct your self and your purpose anywhere you want to take it. That's like a person who is just a lovely person brightens up every space that they find. They go pick up something at the grocery store and they brighten up the aisles. I don't mean any way that we need to be Susie Sunshines moving through the world. I'm just saying you can't help it. When you are sitting with your enthusiasm, it affects other people. We are social creatures after all. Back to the translation here, hexagram 16. The energetic charge of enthusiasm can be used to set great things in motion. It is good to use it to expand and enrich your experience by extending your network of communication and support, marshaling your resources ready for future challenges. I kind of like that language. Marshaling resources feels different than preparing. Even though I'm sure it's the same thing, I think I'm splitting hairs, but I like the idea of knowing your resources and kind of like as if they're your collection of stuffed animals and they all have different superpowers. I don't know why I'm bringing this image in, but I'm trying to make marshalling not sound authoritarian. So you bring all your stuffed animals in, and this one is the heart opener, and this one is the one that helps you see things in the future, and this is the one that brings you into your rootedness, and this is the one that helps you talk to strangers. And like marshaling your resources is different than preparing. It's getting yourself ready. Where was I? Okay. Marshaling your resources ready for future challenges. That's different than preparing to me. Preparing is like making myself so narrow and controlled and contained and like in the shape of my idea of something, rather than getting wider and more open and more available to my resources. It's good to use such structures to channel the motive power of enthusiasm and keep it from running amok. Yeah, you can also imagine enthusiasm as sort of like dancing faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, and then you kind of just like burn completely out. We don't want it to run amok. We want it to be like a fountain around us, that the enthusiasm gives us just enough force for this fountain of energy to move up through the channel of our head and then sprinkle around us everywhere delightfully, and then be absorbed through our roots and back up. And it's like a very soft, gentle pumping of the energies around us. It's good to use such structures to channel the motive power of enthusiasm and keep it from running amok. Yeah, because like you imagine if you had like a rocket launcher instead of like a soft pump, and then the rocket launcher is just like, pew, and then your energies are gone for a very long time. It takes a long time for them to return. So we want to keep it like right here, right inside of our center. Then its brightly colored images can be woven securely into the larger patterns and meanings of life. Yeah. Thunder bursts forth from the earth, enthusiasm. The ancient kings composed music to honor virtue. They celebrated and worshipped the Supreme Lord, joining with their ancestors. That is one way of looking at it, but as I was reading that, it made me feel like inner victory, recognition, celebration, joy, return to the self. And I want to pull also a card from the Rooted Woman Oracle deck by Sharon Blackie, which I did last time. Last time I got Temptation. Didn't love it until I sat with it for a moment. This time we get Bog, Stagnation. Also don't love it, but the card is gorgeous. It's a beautiful bog with a little pockets of water in the distance, and this red, deep red color tone in the front of the picture is a beautiful spider web with a spider in it, and there's some rolling hills in the background, and it's quite a beautiful card. Boglands are profoundly still and silent places. In them, time hardly seems to pass at all. Decay and decomposition are also suspended there, so our ancestors buried bodies deep in the moist peat to preserve them. If you reach your hands down into that rich black butter, who knows what buried mysteries you might find. To love a bog, then, is to love secrecy and subtlety, to forage for what lies hidden and beneath the surface. Now, maybe this card is for me because this is a full moon in Scorpio, and my Scorpio is the 12th house. And that's all hidden things. So I might be needing to reach into and see what my hidden treasures are that are illuminated by this full moon. Superficially, a bog might seem like a dark and bleak place, and yet if you choose to look closely, it will reveal an abundance of color, texture, and life. A bog then teaches us to look for treasure in the most unlikely places, to focus on the close-up, the quiet, the seemingly obscure. Above all, this card asks us to understand that sometimes what appears to be stagnation is actually preservation. There are times when we need to hold still, to preserve our energy and life force. There are times when we need to rest our assaulted senses, to cut back and pare down. Oh my gosh, why are we getting that word? And pare down, to reduce our tendency for overwhelm and to drink in the beauty of the everyday. So cutting back and paring down is different than prepare. Pare down for your own benefit is different than preparing, cutting yourself down ahead of time for some future thing. Somehow we keep rolling back into that imagery. It seems really important to kind of point it out again, that there is such a difference between paring down and resting in this moment now and cutting ourselves up into bits to prepare for something in the future that we cannot know about yet. So marshaling our resources is what we're doing now for future times. And we're paring down excess so that we can be here, so we can really be in this moment and see what it is for us without knowing ahead of time what this is all about. Except for that, there's a little spark of joy, enthusiasm fountaining around us right now. And that, my friends, my dear listeners, is the full moon in Scorpio, the full flower moon. Thank you so much for being here with me. You can reach out to me at www.annhedley.com. That's ANNHEDLY.com. Thank you so much for being here. May you be well, and may you know peace, and may all beings everywhere, whether known to us or unknown, may they be well, and may they know peace. Bye for now.